Hello, and welcome to this video on how to conduct research for English in high school. This will be very much a precursor to the skills that you'll be using in university. This style of academic research will be really the foundation of university learning. So if you can uh, get to grips with what it is now, you're going to be setting yourself up beautifully for tertiary education. And to jump straight into it, I'd say there are three phases to research or this kind of digital academic research: the location phase, review phase, and the synthesis phase. And we'll mostly be focusing on the location phase today. I'm going to recommend a few places that you can look and show you some techniques and some tips as to how you can filter through some of the results and uh, get what you're looking for in an efficient manner. In the first place, I'd recommend to start with, and uh, sometimes I'm cautious about this, but if you know what you're doing, you will find the right thing. Uh, the first place I'd recommend is looking at JSTOR, which is a journal database, which means it contains multiple different journals. And a journal doesn't really mean something that a person is writing in and reflecting in. I think it's more appropriate in this sense to think of this type of journal almost as if it's a club. It's a club of academics, and your payment to get into that club is you have to produce something of a certain quality, of a certain nature. And they're usually quite exclusive clubs, especially if you're looking at it from the perspective of a high school student or an undergraduate university student. If it's in a journal, it is excellent knowledge. So when you're on JSTOR, as you saw, I just typed it in and it was the first result on Google. Now I have this search bar here. I am going to test out the Hunger Games. And this is important. Uh, my search term here is important because if I were to just Google this, which I'll do in this tab, the Hunger Games, the kind of results I get are um, fairly fairly easygoing. I've got a Wikipedia, IMDb, some news, nothing that's really critical in the sense that we're looking for. Even if I look up literature after the Hunger Games, my results still aren't very refined. I've got Spark Notes, that's the closest I have to something that I could use, and JSTOR is coming up. Cliff's Notes, still those kind of sites aren't going to give you the most rigorous results. They're very introductory. Once you are on JSTOR, you must click Content Icon Access. And every time you type in a new search term, you will need to click on this. But this shows you everything that you can access right now without having to log in, without having to do anything. You don't really need to change anything here. You could look at journals, but I found that the book chapters are also quite appropriate. Remember, the things that you're going to find when conducting academic research using these tools and using these sites will be quite high level. So you're going to have to read through it at a much slower rate than you would if you were just reading this type of fiction, such as The Hunger Games. I'd say you're probably expecting to be around half the rate of reading, so you can maintain that 100% comprehension, so you can pick up on the nuances and exactly what that person is getting at. So JSTOR is quite a good tool. I'm going to show you the next one. Many people start here, but Google Scholar is another excellent, the Hunger Games is another excellent tool. You can see what you have access to here by what's in this rightmost column. And It's not quite as rich as it is on JSTOR, I don't really need to pick through a lot of things. Most of this is on brand. Um, if I scroll down a little bit further, I can see that some, uh, for example, what's something that's just, yeah, business won't apply to us in English. But on Google Scholar, there's no kind of, I can't refine my searches according to the area. So that's a downside that Google Scholar has. If you choose on JSTOR, you can do that. Once you have searched on Google Scholar, something I find that really helps to um, to neaten up your search results is to add a custom range. If you just type one number here and leave this blank, it's going to make that the current day. So if I click search, it's going to refine it and the search results are much smaller. Something nifty that Google Scholar offers that JSTOR um, isn't doesn't quite as nicely offer is this quick cite button. JSTOR has it, but it's not as nice to look at. It's still there. As you can see, I have more options from refining this range here. Another thing that you can do, which might be important for su a text such as the Hunger Games, would be to include Boolean modifiers. And I'm not going to get too bogged down on in the complex ones. I think the not modifier is the most important to grapple with. It is usually called not, like this. In capital letters, must be capital letters. What this not Boolean modifier does is it makes it so it's just searching for these three terms and it is excluding anything that has this term. And as you can see, I have a lot of results because I haven't yet filtered for the content that I can access. If I go back to Google Scholar, for some reason, instead of it being not, it is a minus sign. And that's a way to refine your results on Google Scholar. Another thing that you can do to refine your results, I can see most of it here. Here we go. There is Hunger Games, uh, and Hunger Games again is to use quotation marks. That makes the search match these exact terms in this exact order. Essentially, what it was doing before is it was thinking anything that has the and hunger and games, but now it's searching just for this string of words particularly. And you could combine it with something like that. And the results will be almost identical to what they were before because the Hunger Games is quite popular. Another website, I would say, is I think it's almost like a newspaper or a news outlet. The Conversation, I think, is quite a good tool. If you don't want something that is quite so heavy as the things that you will find on JSTOR or Google Scholar. And I'll also just point out, you will find um, that Google Scholar includes the things that are on JSTOR. JSTOR kind of is a shortcut to things that are available. And you, in theory, can search through these journal databases if you want. Um, Sorry, quick side note there. The Conversation offers, I think, a more palatable way of um, communicating art and art criticism. So here you have our very broad overviews. It's not just literature, it's not just English. But if I look up the Hunger Games, I will find some nice things that may be useful and some things that might not even be Hunger Games. Maybe some things that just reference the Hunger Games in passing. But this looks to be a decent review of the Hunger Games. Is it going to carry the same weight and the same respect that a reference to an academic article would carry. Not so much, but is it high quality? Is it trustworthy? Yes. If it's on the conversation, if the person, if the author of the article has included their name, it's quite trustworthy. And usually, there you go, they've included their qualifications as well. The last thing I'll say for locating research for English would be a nearby university library. Usually they're quite friendly there if you go in and you say you want to look for a book that has literary criticism or literary theory and criticism. Usually they'll be pretty friendly and can point you in the right way. Perhaps your school has a partnership with a nearby university. Um, that is another um, excellent way to find resources. So I just half read that. Food ethics, I don't think will pertain to us. Um, Maybe this one will, though. On to the second thing that you will do with your academic research is you'll be reviewing the thing that you've found. Not everything you find will be useful or will be um, already digestible. You might need to do some work to make it applicable to the things you want to do. And the things that you'll do are exactly the same things that you've been doing throughout your whole high school career. For example, you can do highlighting, you can make questions in review to check your comprehension, checking the theoretical comprehension of another. You can list key terms. You can summarize it in a few sentences. You could summarize it by paragraph. You could summarize it by page. You could summarize the whole thing. You could also um, put it down and just paraphrase it, which is essentially summary. But paraphrasing it forces you to change the terms of it into terms that you are comfortable with, or maybe you push yourself to use the terms that are in that article. The last thing for you to do is to synthesize it.